Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome back to my series of Fantastic Four reviews. And today, I am reviewing Fantastic Four from 2005, starring Ian Grufford, Jessica Alba, Chris Evans, and Michael Chiklis. A group of astronauts gain superpowers after a cosmic radiation explosion and must use them to oppose the plans of their enemy, Victor Von Doom. Now, you gotta realize that this was made in time of superhero movies when they were still trying to figure out how to make them. This is not released order, by the way, but in 2000 we got X-Men, 98 we got Blade, 2002 we got Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man, and then in 2003 we had X2, but we also had Daredevil, and we had Elektra, Hulk, and that type of stuff. So this was at a point where even the somewhat bad superhero movies were still making money. So this was at that point. And this movie I always had a mixed relationship with. I never hated this movie, but when I watched it a few years ago for the first time, I freaking loved it. But then a few months ago when I watched it with my little cousin, because he'd never seen it before, I was like, this is still good, but something feels off. And then watched it this time, I was like, I feel a little bit more confident with this movie, but yes, something's not, I really like this movie, but something is a bit off. So it's one of those movies that, it kind of conflicts me, because I'm always like, okay, this is a good movie, but it's not a great movie. And it really shows you how we haven't really gone a fantastic, not pun not intended, a fantastic Fantastic Four movie. It's just one of those things, and this movie isn't the best in terms of comic book accuracy. These movies are more like movies that are just fun popcorn movies. They're just fun to watch, and they are movies that are really, really good to introduce your children to the Fantastic Four, so they can understand who the Fantastic Four are and what their powers are and how they came to be. Now, this movie nailed the casting for all four leads. This is probably my favourite cast of any of the Fantastic Four movies. Ian Grufford does a fantastic job as Reed Richards in this movie. He really acts like the smartest guy alive. I think that Reed Richards is a hard person to cast, because you need to find someone that has that look of a Mr. Fantastic. Originally, they were going to offer the role to Hugh Jackman, but luckily he declined, which thank God, because it would have been especially confusing, especially since he is Wolverine, and now since they're in the multiverse saga within the MCU now, it would have been very confusing to see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and then see if Ian Grufford or Jessica Alba, they come back in, Secret Wars or Doomsday. Imagine Hugh Jackman in that role. That would have been very bloody weird. That would have been very weird. I prefer him as Wolverine than Reed Richards. Give it to Ian Grufford all day. And, especially since they were pulling the Fox characters in the MCU now, it would have been interesting, for sure. Jessica Alba is Sue Storm to me, where, yes, she doesn't show her full acting talent as an actress in this movie, but she does it great with what she's given in this movie. Chris Evans is not just Captain America, which he plays a great Captain America, but he is also a fantastic Human Torch, especially in the time that this movie came out. Because he was playing more of the cocky asshole type of person, which when it came around to him playing Captain America, it's oh, sorry, Chris, you can't play the cocky asshole because we already have Robert Downey Jr. for that. So we need you to play the serious character in Captain America. And then as soon as his MCU run finished, he was like, I'm going to go back and do another cocky asshole because I miss playing that in Knives Out. So, like, it's crazy to me how, like, he's so good at playing cocky assholes in movies. It's so cool. And Michael Chiklis as the Thing, and I think he is easily one of the best looking things that we've gotten in the movies. And I do like how it's a practical suit as opposed to the CGI, because the CGI in this movie is not very good. And we'll get to that. But I do like how they made him a practical suit, and the whole breakup scene with Debbie and Ben on the phone and stuff is very, very heartbreaking. So it's a good scene, and that is such an amazing scene, like, right off the page. And I do want to give a shout out to Julian McHannon, who played Doctor Doom. He is great, and Matt Lee, R.I.P. But I love how he played Doctor Doom in these two movies. We'll get to Rise of Silver Surfer later. But he was threatening, even though it's still not the best representation of Doctor Doom. We will see what happens with RDJ. But I think he is so far the best version of Doctor Doom we've seen. I will say I do love Stan Lee's cameo in this movie. Like, when they enter the Baxter Building, he's the post office and he's like, "Welcome home, Dr. Richards." I love seeing that man. He's great. I do like seeing the scene where they're discovering their powers. I mean, the CGI is not great. Like, I kind of forgive the CGI on Reed Richards, like the arm stretching and stuff, because, like, the only one that I'm like, oh, that is really awful, is the one where his hand goes underneath the door. That is really terrible CGI. But other than that, I can see why they wanted more like a rubbery CGI, because you're dealing with a guy that stretches. So, especially since, like, you play, like, the Lego games and stuff, like Lego Marvel Superheroes, Reed Richards is really, like, stretching and turning into, like, teacups and screwdrivers and spanners in that game. So you kind of understand why they had to do that rubbery kind of CGI in this movie. I do think that the action scenes are good for the time, but compared to action scenes we have today, they aren't fantastic, but for what they are great. And that whole scene on the Brooklyn Bridge is a set, because they didn't want to close down the Brooklyn Bridge in New York, because there's always traffic on it. So the crew, the director, they all went down to the Brooklyn Bridge and took photos, so then they get every bolt, every nut, every bit of rust, took photos and made a set of the Brooklyn Bridge for that whole action sequence on the Brooklyn Bridge, which I think is incredible. Their final battle is so much better when you rewatch it, and where it gets to show off each of the characters' individual powers, and they each get their own moment. That's when this final battle succeeds. And, like, we get to see Mr. Fantastic stretching himself into a fire hose and taking down Doctor Doom after Ben destroys the fire hydrant, the water hydrant and stuff like that. Like, that stuff is so cool. And there is so much product placement in this movie. Like, when Johnny Storm comes out of the motorcycle ring, after he announces that they're the Fantastic Four and stuff, you see, like, all these advertisements for, like, Xbox, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, and lots of these things that these movies had sponsorship for, because you do have, it's like, well, guess what? You made me buy the Fantastic Four Xbox game and stuff like that. It's crazy to me how much product placement in early 2000s movies there are, because you're like, take a sip every time that you see an Xbox or Pepsi or Mountain Dew logo in this movie. Because goodness gracious, it's crazy. I need to give Fantastic Four 2005 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's still a fun movie, but it doesn't... But... it does get a little slow at the midpoint of the movie. And until the flame on moment, the action starts, that's where it starts to get exciting again. So guys, we are almost halfway. Next episode will be halfway. So guys, please hit the like button down below. If you haven't already, subscribe us to the little bell icon to get notified of future videos I make. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.
Hey there. Subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon.